I see some people already saying hello. I see Andy, Michael. So tell us where you're from, right? It's important. This is a very interactive discussion here, and we have a very special guest today. So I want you to take a look, go to the chat on the side and say hello. Tell us where you're from, right? Because today we're going to have, it's one more conversation of the Speaker Secrets Initiative, where we are interviewing some top speakers in the world to actually get their secrets and so help you improve your presentation, improve your talk, improve your sharing. And so, hi, Sebastian from Ottawa, Canada. So hi, everyone. So today, we've been talking a lot. So Drazen is from Serbia. Hi, Drazen, how are you doing? So we've been talking a lot about, how to do speech, and Michael is from Berlin. Good. So we've been talking a lot about, giving talks and going to events, right? We're doing this because there's Oracle Code One a few weeks ago. And if you've been joining us here, for watching all of these, you know that we did a big effort around Oracle Code One. It was a great event, by the way. Sebastian here gave his first presentation at the event. But, presenting live at an event or in a webinar is not the only thing you can do, right? There's a lot of other things that you can do that maybe don't require you to stand in front of an audience. It doesn't require you to do live coding, and if something goes wrong, you're toasted, right? We actually had Scott, a friend of ours, that was talking to me yesterday, and he gave his presentation at Oracle Code One, and his first presentation was with live coding, and so he was a little worried about, he did some his live encoding, and he was upset about it. So doing live code is not easy, right? We mess times. So hi, Silvia from Chicago. So excellent to have you all here. So today we're gonna talk about another way of sharing. That's one that we love to watch, or we love to. All of you guys have seen screencasting, right? Seeing someone else doing some things, and it's a great way for you to share your knowledge. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. So, I see, so Ushe from Nigeria, Ushena is from Nigeria. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Ushena. Great. So we have people from all over the world. It's amazing to have you all here. So without further ado, let me introduce our special guest today, Marcos Biller. Did I say this right?
Right, it's right. Thanks. Hi, Bruno.
Okay, so hi, Marco. So Marco Biller, he has an amazing site, right? Actually, marcobiller.com. We're gonna send you a URL in a minute, but where he has screencasts for Java developer. He teaches Java using Screencast, and I thought it was amazing because he has nearly 200 screencasts there, and from his videos in the beginning, he actually says, depending on when you watch this video, it might be 1,000, right? So he's on his go to 1,000 screencasts, and who else could help us better on teaching us how to do screencasts than someone that does this professionally, right? And actually making this a great effort. So hi, Marco. Thanks a lot for being here with us.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for having me.
Okay, very cool. So Marco, I'm going to start directly with this question, right?
Sure.
We talk about presenting here. Everyone is watching us here are speakers, and they're doing presentations and events, or they're wanting to do presentation events. How about screencasting? Why screencast is important?
The funny thing is, screencasting is just one of the many ways how you can share information. And but I think that screencasting, if you watch other people code and they have some time to prepare the material, and they really have to, that they can show a topic succinctly in like 5 or 10 minutes and whatever, it's a great way of learning. And it's just another way, next to reading about things, reading documentation, reading dry documentation maybe, and figuring things out yourself. You might just have someone who knows a certain topic, who did it before, hopefully, and can share his knowledge. And obviously, it's also a bit of entertainment going on. So it's always about presenting things in a nice way. Obviously, and all the other presenters know, but I think it's a good way of learning new things.
That's very, very good. So what do you think the screencasting is too different from doing a presentation. I mean, I know a lot of your screencasts is it's actually doing live coding, right? So,
Yes.
But it is different to do live coding, screencasting yourself in a studio, in a recording, and then doing it live on stage. Is it easier, harder? How do you think about this?
The funny thing is, I mean, I've been doing that now for a year or whatever, and obviously you have a learning curve. So you start out, and even though you're just yourself in your room by yourself, alone, and no one's watching, maybe your girlfriend, it is actually quite a nervous thing to do. So you start, typing, and you want to get it right the first time, and then you kind of, I got it wrong, just like in a live presentation. You freak out, and you have kind of such a high bar you set for yourself that even though you might think you're at home and you're kind of secure and no one's watching, you're actually watching yourself. So in a way, these two things are comparable. So live events and even screencasting, it takes a really long time till you get really comfortable with just, writing code and not caring so much if you make a mistake. If you type something wrong, you can just edit it out. You can even play with the audio editing later on. But I'd say it's quite a huge learning curve from the beginning.
Yeah, it looks like all the sharing we have to do a lot of times before we get used to it, right?
Yes, yeah. And also one more thing maybe that I started, showing myself at the beginning, at the end of the video of each screencast now, and just having a short introduction and whatnot. And I'm not, I didn't grew up in front of a camera or whatever. So you just, you're in front of a camera and you look inside the camera and you think, oh God, am I looking right? Am I sounding right? Is everything I'm doing right? And then you mess it up and it doesn't sound right. And also that is pretty much like an audience, but it's just yourself looking into the camera.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned that screencasting is interesting for you to do and everything, but do actually people have results out of it? When someone is watching a screencast, and I think all of us can relate because we watch a screencast and sometimes, right? So do people that watch screencasts actually get similar results when they watch it, or better results or worse results? What do you think?
It's a good question. The funny thing is, my best feedback is obviously students who send me an email saying, dude, I love that series. I learned so much out of that series and I didn't find the content anywhere else, and you explained it really well. So as I said before, I don't think that it's the best way or that my videos are the best videos in the world and you couldn't find the information somewhere else. But I think certain topics I can actually explain quite well. And people get good results from it. And obviously there's different results. It could be that you just want to know if there's something new in Java 11, for example, or Java 10. So that is really just, quick videos about news. But it could also be quite technical topics like transaction management or logging in Java and different other topics where you could read hundreds of pages of dry documentation or just watch some of my videos.
Well, no, I'm a very, very much fan of, learning things when I need them, right? And I think Screencast is amazing for that because then, instead of, like you said, instead of going through a lot of documentation, I can just kind of go directly into a tiny little video that tells you how to do it, and I can get up and running very fast. So how do you choose those topics, right? How do you choose what you're gonna teach? How do you choose what you're gonna present?
The thing is, I'm not doing screencasting full-time yet. I'd love to do it full-time at a certain point. But I've been doing Java consulting for the past 10 years or whatever, working in the Java space for 10 years. And in different companies, and it's always the same problems. It's always the same technologies being used, or let's say a group of technologies being used. And the same problems, the same topics coming up. So I actually take most of the topics I write about or I record just from my daily work life. And just, covering all these different tiny problems that people come up with, my colleagues, different teams, different companies. And that was also very important to keep things as real life as possible with the screencast and not just some, magic content, theoretical content, or whatever.
Okay, very, very cool. And and how hard it is to do it. I mean, do you prepare a lot since you get all this information from your consultant and everything? You kind of come up with saying, oh, I need to talk about this. You sit down and do it, or you have to prepare a demo, have to prepare your environment. How hard it is for you to do that?
It's actually quite a crazy process. So let me tell you that in the end, when you see a video of like 7 to 10 minutes, it's probably gonna, just the recording and the editing might take you anywhere between 1 and 3 hours. And that is without the preparation you just asked about. And obviously there's topics where I know pretty much exactly what I'm gonna record, but then still I have to come up with a demo project. I have to basically create a project from scratch, code it through at least once, so to see that stuff is working. And then maybe on the second time, I can already record the screencast. And if it's a topic where I'm not 5,000% sure of what I'm doing, like with my OAuth topics about security, where I did some OAuth integrations before, but I'm not really quite sure about all the details. You have to read up about it. You have to maybe do the coding twice or 3 times or 4 times. You have to do the screencast recording. So it could be that an episode you see with 10 minutes is not only 2 hours or 3 hours of recording, but it's actually maybe has even 2 or 3 hours of preparation. And that it gets better with time. So after a while, after doing it for a year, you get more efficient and better with scouting for topics and preparing topics and whatever, and especially cutting things out, because you always want to make things too big, and it's quite a skill to be able to make things small, precise, 5-10 minutes, and then you're done. But it's still a couple of hours.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a lot of the live coding that people do on stage, Alison, and it takes a long time for it to prepare. But the cool thing is that once you record a screencast like this, right? You can have hundreds, maybe thousands of people watching that screencast. So the amount of time that you put into it, when you do a presentation and it's not a recorded presentation, and you put a lot of effort, and there's like 40 people, 100 people in the room, but you do a screencast like this, it takes several hours, but then you might have 1,000 people watching it later, right? So in terms of results, you can results.
Exactly. I mean, that's a great thing. But then again, you have stupid things, like, for example, when it happened once or twice to me, where sometimes when I make mistakes, I pause the screencast recording, and then I have to unpause the screencast recording again. And sometimes I noticed I just recorded like 5 minutes without actually recording anything, and then you get angry and you have to redo it, and it adds another 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes and whatever. But you're absolutely right. You can reach a ton of people on YouTube, on any platform, whatever, and that pretty much makes up for all the hassle that you have recording the stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Let me kind of just quickly say here. So Drazen has a question. So I'm gonna ask his question now. But you that are watching us right now, the whole idea is that we have a very interactive discussion. So take a moment to pick Marco's brain so you can improve your sharing too, right? So ask the questions here on the chat, so we can answer all your questions. So Marco, Drazen asks here, is finding a topic for screencast similar to find a topic to write a blog or article? Or not all topics are good for screencast?
So I can only speak from my experience, but from my experience, what I like to do is basically, when I have screencasts, I don't have just one screencast. It's always a series. So when I talk about OAuth, for example, or even stuff like Spring, I cover Spring transaction management or some logging or whatever. And it's always, let's say, 10, 12 episodes in one series. So the whole thing is, every episode itself is basically self-contained, but it's part of a bigger picture. And obviously, it would be nice if you watch the whole series, but you can also, if you only want to know about certain parts, you watch these certain parts. So I'd say it's a bit bigger than writing blog articles. It depends, obviously. If it's like a 5,000 words article about a really dense topic, then that might be different. But I'd say it's a bit more complex than just spawning out shorter articles, obviously. But apart from that, really everything that people have problems with, you can write a screencast about. And even if it's just clicking inside your IDE because someone doesn't know where the database tool window is. And there's a ton of people that don't know what a database tool window is. So you make up screencasts on these topics. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So can you tell us how you got started? You said it was about a year ago that you've been doing this. You're not doing it full time. So it looks like your idea is to move towards a situation where you can do this full time. So how do you get started, and where do you want to go?
The thing is, I was working in a consulting project, and a friend of mine who had been into PHP development for quite a while told me about a site called Laracast. And Laracast is a huge site, also by one guy, and he spits out, well, PHP development screencasts, a ton of them every single day. Actually, one episode every single day for like 5 years. It's crazy. And I saw it, and I thought I quite like it. I also have a kind of a knack for teaching. I like to teach, and I wanted to just give it a try. And that's when I started, recording the first episodes and actually getting all this equipment here and whatnot. Just trying to get started where it goes. Posting some links, seeing what the reception is. And well, here I am a bit later, and reception is actually quite nice. People like my stuff, and it just takes some time to build a really big audience so that you can live from it. And I still have a consulting engagement going on. But I'd like to do screencasting more and more, and not only just writing screencasts, sometimes also text guides and whatnot. But screencast is definitely something which I want to do more full-time. Okay,
cool. And we're going to talk about your sites in a minute, but there's it's kind of you talk about the equipment that you had to buy to do this kind of things. So can you talk a little bit about the practical aspects of doing it? Do you have like special tools that you have to use, or to buy some equipment? I see some good microphones. That you probably need some good audio for doing this. So how do you prepare for this, and what kind of tools that if someone wants to do screencasting, what kind of things they need to start with? Do they need to start with all this stuff, or they can start doing their own computers? How does that work?
There's actually, I think there's two sides to it. So you have the hardware side and the software side. And hardware-wise, I mean, the thing is, you can start out with anything, really. I mean, I started out with, I think, just my webcam, which is like a run-of-the-mill Logitech webcam from five years ago, the same you're seeing right now. And the thing is, you notice pretty quickly that the audio isn't quite nice, and it always, when you hear the video afterwards, you think, the audio is bad, and you want to change that. So you look into microphones, and obviously with microphones you have 20,000 options, and it can become quite pricey. So there's really professional microphones in the thousands of dollars or euros or wherever you come from. And I just did a couple of Reddit lookups and find out which microphone is good, and that's I think a Rode Procaster model, which is quite nice, which makes nice audio. I still have the same webcam, which I'm trying to exchange with a better camera, but cameras are also very expensive. And with these microphones, you cannot just plug them into your PC. You also need an audio interface. It's a little box that you plug into your PC, and you can plug the microphone into that box, and all these kind of things. So it can get quite pricey, but I would recommend you to start off really, really cheap, and not buy the best equipment in the world. Just put out a couple of videos, take any microphone you have, or like $100 microphone or whatever, and that is, for the beginning, that's all you need. And I almost forgot. Also very important. I stress out about it. Have a really quiet microphone. So I have the keyboard. So I have these silicone keyboards, which don't make too much noise. I have also a very quiet mouse. It's actually a mouse which doesn't make too much sound when you click it. So you don't have these clicks and keyboard sounds in your recording as well. So these are also two things you might want to add to your equipment. And
that's a very, very cool tip. You know, the keyboards, you have to learn how to type on those classic keyboards, right?
Yes, yeah. And the funny thing is actually with these silicone keyboards, I mean, it's quite different because they're so wobbly and whatever, and quite, you know, it's not like my other keyboard. And you have to learn how to type on these keyboards and then go back to your other keyboard again, and it messes things up. But after a while, you kind of get used to it. But with the keyboard and mouse sounds, some people have the keyboard and mouse sounds inside the video. I didn't like them, so I tried to find cheaper options, and that's basically what works for me at the moment.
Cool. So that was, you know, you said there's two sides of it. There's this hardware sides and the software sides, right? You talk a lot about the hardware side. Is there anything special on the software side that you need?
The software side, I mean, it depends. Also, I mean, there's again, a ton of programs. What I found to be a good program is called Camtasia. Camtasia is, I think, available for Windows and Mac. I'm not sure about Mac, but I think so. And with Camtasia, you can do easy recordings, and not only easy recordings, but also easy editing. So you can put in text and bubbles and whatever, and it's basically made for e-learning. And it's everything you need to do from a recording perspective and from a video editing perspective. It's not so good when it comes to audio editing. And I don't like, I have a lot, when I talk naturally, like now, I have a lot of smacking sounds sometimes and stuff I don't want in these recordings. So I also need an audio editing software. And basically, once I did the recording, extract the audio, and then basically fix or repair the audio with an audio editing software. And I use Audacity, which is a free Windows tool to edit the audio. And then at the end, combine the audio track and the video track again to the final video. But I think software-wise, if you think about it, Camtasia, Audacity, one tool for recording, one tool for audio editing. And even with audio editing, you can go crazy. You can buy really professional tools, which will cost you also $1,000 upwards, and you can spend tons of hours making audio sound perfect without any, you know, effects, any interference, any whatever. But Camtasia, which costs a bit of money, Audacity, which is free, does everything I needed to do.
Yeah, very cool. And so if anyone is starting, there's another suggestion that one I like to use. I do testing, but I do some. And there's a tool called Screencast, and that's very simple. It's very easy for you to cut little pieces of it. So if you're just starting, you don't want to do professional like you're doing, and you just kind of do want to. That's another one that people can try. It is. They have a free tier, but it's also they also host your videos if you want. There's all kinds of. It's a cheap, easy to use tool that works on Mac, works on Linux, works on Windows, and so that's another one. Just as a suggestion here. So let me talk a little bit about. There's a question here from you about your website. So before we go to his question, let me quickly tell you. So everyone, you know, Marco has an amazing, and as he said, I still want to go back to what he wants to do in the future, but he said that he wants to do a screencasting time, right? And the cool that for you to do things full time, for each, you know, the more time you do this, the more you benefit everyone, right? So that's the true thing. So you have to have a business model around it. So that's a cool thing he has, and that's why I wanted him on coming to talk to us, because he's not only you know, doing the screencast just for sharing and promoting himself and helping other people, but he's actually designing his life around this thing, and so he can actually do more and spend more time doing this, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna put here on the side, right, because Marcos is offering us So if you go here to the side, there's a special offer for you that's watching us right now. Marco's giving you 20% discount, and as I understand, it's for life, right? It's 20% for life. Is that right? I mean,
Pretty
that's
much,
such
yeah.
an amazing deal.
If you sign up, it's for life. Yeah, I mean, never quit the plan. But if you still keep the plan, then it's 20% for life. Yeah.
20% for life. I mean, that's a great deal, right? That he's giving you for you right now, and he also comes with a 7-day free trial. So you go to the link right now. It's exclusive for you that are watching this. It only works for a couple of days.
Yes.
Watching the recording, you might have lost already, but just go here and click on the link, register for it. You get 7 days for free, so you can see everything that Marco is doing, and you get a 20% discount for life. Man, that's really good.
Exactly,
so Marco,
and you can cancel any time in these 7 days. That's just what I wanted to say. So there's no lock-in. It's not just 7 days for free. Have a look at all the content. If you like it, stay with the site. If you don't like it, write me a hate mail.
Okay. Yes, if you like it, tell everyone. If you don't like it, tell him. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So let me go to Silvia's question then. This is amazing. I really love, Marco, let me tell you this. I really love when people have a business model around things that they're doing, because it means that you're gonna stick around for a long time, and you're gonna make my life a lot better, because I know your content is gonna keep growing, right? And so a lot of people try to do things on their spare time at night and things like this. That sometimes they something happened in their life and they just stopped doing it, and we're left without anything, right? So I love what you're doing because of that. So Silvia's asking, that you have a subscription model, and if you want to talk a little bit about that, but his question is, how do you protect your content if there's any kind of protection? And that kind of goes hand in hand with the question that I had for you. Do you host your own videos to do this business, or you use some other system how do you do that?
Mm-hmm. So maybe to answer your question first, because it plays into his question, what I do is I host the videos myself. I have a CDN service, which is called Key CDN, and I just put the videos there. And I also upload free versions or completely free videos to YouTube, where people can watch them for free. And obviously, not everything is on YouTube, so I have a concept of free versions where you can watch the whole episode, the whole video, and then all the other videos are basically behind a paywall on my site. And after 2 minutes or so, you can preview the video for 2 minutes, and then you have to get a subscription to watch the full video. And as it's on my site and as I'm hosting the videos myself, I mean, I protect my content by having that paywall so that people have to log in and they have to have an active subscription. But then again, you're right. I mean, at that point where you basically can watch the video, so when someone is subscribed or registered and he watches a video, I mean, he can basically download it or scrape it and share it and whatever. And at the beginning of like a screencasting career, you cannot think too much about it. If someone takes my videos, shares them, it's actually good for myself because he liked the video and other people are going to watch it. I have a watermark inside and obviously enough references to my page, but there's nothing I can do to basically make a user not share my videos once he paid some money to see the videos.
A lot of people are worried about this, right? But what I found in my career is that the biggest thing that we can give to people is our presence, right? Is the direct contact with us, right? And so when people page you and they have direct contact with you, they can suggest new videos, they can ask questions. All of that is worth way more than just kind of watching a series of videos, right? So
absolutely,
in the end,
absolutely.
Yeah, so in the end, I think you're totally the right thing. So Sebastian asked here, did you start immediately with a paid subscription model, or you first start sharing your screencast for free and later on build a business around it? And basically, did you have an idea of doing a business from the start, or it was something that you grew on it? And also, I'm going to leave the second part of the question for later. But did you start immediately with subscription, or you grew into it?
So here's the thing, what happens. When you try to, imagine, Sebastian, that you want to try out recording a screencast or whatever. So you sit there at home, record the first 10 screencasts of your life, and then you put them maybe on Reddit or DZone or some other Java aggregator and whatever. And you're basically scared to death because you think, oh, people are going to flame you, people are going to hate you. And then you're thinking, oh, I cannot really start out with a paid subscription model from the start. I might have to do these for free. So that's what I did. The first ones were just for testing, just putting them out and seeing what works and what doesn't work. But then the thing is, as I said before, because an episode takes so much time to prepare and so much time to spend on, and so much knowledge goes into one episode, it's actually quite clear you cannot do that for free. That it's literally impossible. I mean, there's some people on YouTube which do it all for free, which try to get in the money with advertisements, I suppose. But if you're serious, and if you're like a professional programmer like myself, and share all that content, it's impossible to do it for free. So that's why I think rather soonish, I thought, well, I need a subscription model, and I want to try out if the subscription model works. So that's when you start, making the first videos, the first paid videos, and hoping that people are going to watch them. And then obviously you have no one registered on your site. That's the reality. And then you basically freak out a lot when the first guy gives you some money to watch your videos. And that's what happened in my case. And there have been more people. There's more people joining every month. So that's basically the journey.
Okay, very, very cool. So the second part of Sebastian's question is, how do you promote your content? Do you actually just promote? You already said that you do some free videos on YouTube and things like this, but do you travel around and give talks and presentations like this, or you write articles? How do you promote your content in general? Do you do advertisements?
Actually, no, I'm not traveling around at the moment because my schedule, I have basically zero time apart from screencasting consulting to also travel around. So I'm trying to do it all online. I tried ads, Google ads and Reddit ads half-heartedly for some time, so maybe a day or two, and I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, so I stopped it. And what I actually usually do is, so YouTube, as I said, I try to post my videos, or the free ones actually, to every Java aggregator out there, as I said, Reddit, DZone, and whatnot. I also write articles. I try to not only write, short articles, but really big and actually fun guides, so that people read these guides, and also sometimes they like the videos, so they do the videos and whatnot. Sometimes they don't, and they just want to read articles, which is fine as well. I also have, I wrote a book a couple of years ago, which still attracts some visitors to my website who also watch videos. So I think I'm trying to do the online-only way of promoting. And I also try to answer a lot of questions. So you'll find me on Quora, you'll find me on Java Code Ranch, not as much as I'd like to, on a couple of different sites where I just try to give answers to questions. And sometimes people like my answers, like my content, like my site. And that's how I promote myself. But it's a long way, obviously, of doing that, because you cannot just write 2 answers and suddenly everyone knows you. You have to basically be consistent, and put in time every single day.
Yeah, I love this consistency. Yes, putting time every single day, that's very, very important. Right? Otherwise, things don't happen. Yes, congratulations for that. So, one of the things that kind of keeps it in my mind when you get on this idea of recording videos every day and putting screencasts, and they take a long time. So how do you love to learn new things? Do you go after things that you don't know so you can teach? How is this learning process for you? Is it fast? I mean, are you a fast learner, or you take some time, or you bring things in from your job so it's to learn? How do you do this? How much do you like to learn?
I actually I like to learn a lot, and I cannot talk about myself in terms of I just know that some people say that I'm a pretty quick learner, but still, I mean, if it's a completely new topic, and if I try to learn the Haskell programming language, it would take me also quite some time to get fully up to speed with it. But I basically like to get as much input as possible, and be it, reading myself. I actually like to read a lot as well. I also watch quite a lot of videos, and it's not just about IT for myself. I really try to learn a ton of stuff about programming, and not only programming, software management and organizational issues and whatnot, but I also like things like languages. And I have many international colleagues, and I try to at least be able to speak a couple of lines with each of them, even though that makes me far from perfect or fluent or whatever. But I just try to keep myself occupied with different topics. And it helps that sometimes I can learn quickly about topics, but make no mistake about it. The thing is, even with learning, you have to be consistent about it. And you just said it, consistency is pretty much everything that it comes down to, because sometimes, I like to do screencasts, and I like to learn about a new topic, but sometimes I'm stressed out from my day job, I'm stressed out from other things, and then you come home, or actually get up early in the morning, because I like to do it very early in the morning, the screencasting, and then you're thinking, do I really want to learn something new today? And sometimes you have to basically push yourself to, yes, today I'm learning something new, I'm going to record it, and I'm going to put it out there. And hopefully, thankfully, these days aren't too much, or there aren't too many of these days. But that's just the way it is. I mean, reality.
Yeah, very, very cool. And so you, of course, technical aspects of it and learning new things and all that. I love that you like to learn language. So that there's other things than the technical side to it. And yes. Sebastian had asked about how you promote your content, and I love the fact that you actually reached out. You send me an email and say, Bruno, I want to share to your audience. I want to share to others. Be here. So I mean, is it hard for you to reach out to people like this? Because I know when you're trying to sell something, you kind of say, hey, I'm selling something, right? So how hard it was for you to overcome this barrier of actually selling yourself, to me, like you did, right? Oh, I'm a cool guy, I do screencasts, and I want to share more stuff. How hard it was for you to overcome all these barriers?
I mean, the thing is, I mean, I'd love to say it was easy, but what you notice from the beginning, and I think it's the same with every product, every business you build, everything. I think often the developer's mindset is you build it and people come. And then you build something and you notice, oops, no one's coming. And it's the same when you publish some screencasts, you put them on a website. And then again, the question is, who should find your website? Why should they go to your website? No one knows you. No one knows your website. No one knows anything about you. And then you start thinking, okay, I have to do something about that. So again, it's more like being pushed into, reaching out. And obviously, like with you, I mean, you gave me a nice response, and you said, yeah, let's do it, and we're going to help each other and whatnot. There's other people who write you back, no, I'm not interested, no, go away, and these kind of things. And you have to kind of learn how to live with that. And even certain, sites like Reddit, they have a policy, you cannot write too much about yourself. So if you start posting too many links about your website, they will just ban you, and you cannot write anything anymore. And so also there, you have to get into a habit of, whenever you want someone to watch something, first help them, give them like answers to their questions, help them out, try to be really helpful and valuable actually to people, and not just say, that's me, please watch my screencast, please watch my videos. So in the end, you just get pushed into reaching out, which often feels uncomfortable, absolutely. But after a while, you get used to it, and you write out emails, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Very, very cool. So, just kind of if you're watching us here, you have any questions, go ahead and ask the questions here. We just have a few more minutes, and don't lose the opportunity of joining the 7-day trial for completely free, so you can see what Marco is doing. And if you like what he's doing, by all means, subscribe to his channel and continue watching his videos. And so just more questions here, Marco. So where do you want to take this, right? Do you what are your next steps? I see that on your introduction video you talk about having an IDE in your browser that people can do the exercise right there. Also, we're talking here for a lot of speakers. Is that something interesting for you eventually to accept screencasts from other people? Is that something you're looking at? I mean, how far do you want to take this? Where do you want to take your business going forward?
I think, I had the idea was basically, I played around with it, that I wanted to have an IDE in your browser so that people can start writing code right away. And it would be very cool if you could just click a button whenever you're watching an episode, a specific episode. You click a button, launch in your IDE, and a new browser window opens up with the exact same code that you see in that episode. And people can just hack away, the same codes and no difference. Everything is set up. And the huge advantage is people don't have to clone your project. I also offer the source code for all my videos, but still you have to clone the project. Sometimes people have problems setting up the IDE right and just getting things right. And I just wanted it to be zero friction and just having, people be able to practice in the browser and then, forget about the code again and whatever they did. And as with many things, I did a quick prototype, and it is possible. So you can have like a fully running Ubuntu in your browser, which is quite nice. And but then again, you have to think about how do you get the source code up and running so that people can immediately start hacking code. How can you make sure people are not abusing your system? How can you make sure to clean up? How can you keep the latency low? So do I have to have these servers in America, in Europe, in Australia, wherever I have people who are registered, so that they can actually not have huge latency? And there's a ton of questions, and to answer all these questions, I unfortunately need to put in a bit more time, a couple of weeks development time, testing time, maintenance time. And that's not something I can afford at the very moment, but I'd like to do in the near future, if it's feasible economically. And I think I forgot the second part of your question. I think you might have to ask again.
No problem. No, I'm just thinking. I was just thinking aloud here, right? We have in this program here a lot of speakers, right? And they are also trying to share their mess and everything. Have you ever thought about having other people sharing their screencasts, either using your program or getting something out of it or something, or just kind of any kind of thought in this direction yet?
I haven't really thought about that. But I mean, it obviously my motto is always I'm open for everything and anything. And but as we talked about, what is really important is to find someone who doesn't really just want to record one episode or two episodes, but be consistent in it. And if there's someone willing to have high quality episodes or series or whatever on topics and not just those one or two episodes, then I'm completely up for it. I just haven't thought about it yet. But it is there's a certain bar, a certain entry point, and let's see what the future brings.
Okay, what brings me to a question that I was thinking right now. Why do you choose to do your own stuff instead of going to the route a lot of people do, like Udemy or Lura or all those other sites that actually allow you to create the content and put for them to sell? Why do you decide to kind of you take the whole effort and the whole risk and you do the whole thing? Is that I mean, do you think that's a better strategy for you? It doesn't sound an easier one, but for me, it looks like it's like a better return. What do you think?
The thing is, I mean, it depends on the site, but basically Udemy, for example, other sites, it's basically a race to the bottom. So on one hand, I'm a professional programmer and I work on bigger projects. And then you don't just want to sell your spring course for like $4.99 on Udemy and have people access that spring course, and you lose complete control over all that content. And I have somewhat of a business entrepreneurial side to me. I wanted to see how far I can take it, control my content, and share it on platforms where it makes sense. So YouTube makes sense, DZone or other platforms make sense where they just show you video. And try to see how far I can get that people trust me enough and say, hey, that guy has good content, and let's give him a go. Instead of just being one of, let's say, 5,000 teachers on Java on some platform and then earning a bit of royalty. And I had that book experience. It's the same with writing books. It's basically, if you do it for the money, you shouldn't do it for the money because there's so little return, basically. And you're right, absolutely. At the beginning, it's where you don't have any subscribers and basically do everything for free. It's a long road, but I hope in the long run that road actually makes up for it and is a better way than all the other ways.
Okay. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. So I love the fact that you're doing this entrepreneurial thing, and I totally agree that once you take the effort to do it, and it's your value, right? So you're doing it. I know it's a lot more effort, but I totally agree that this is the best way because now you have direct contact with your audience and things like this. So that's amazing. So Drazen asked, do you do all this screencast business all alone, or you have some kind of support?
When it comes to just the screencasting itself, I mainly do it myself. I actually use Fiverr a lot. Fiverr, if you don't know, is an outsourcing platform where you can find people who can do stuff for you. So obviously when it comes to graphics on my website, for example, or anything like that, I have people doing it. Also for editing stuff, I try to, make all these screencast episodes as small as possible to not waste any bandwidth and whatever. And for that, I'm using a tool which is called FFmpeg on Linux. And to be honest, you need basically, I think, a 4 years university course to understand every flag and every command line option that FFmpeg has, for example. And for that, I also found someone on Stack Overflow who is a real professional and helped me with all these kind of things. So everywhere, even on my website, sometimes I do the programming myself. I built a lot of the website myself, but also I had another guy on Fiverr or on Upwork, could be, who built quite a lot of stuff on the website, because I don't want to spend too much money on just building a website, because I'm kind of busy recording stuff, and so I have to figure out what makes sense where I do it myself, or what makes sense where someone else can do it, and that also takes basically a while to get used to find the perfect ratio. And for example, the payment integrations on my website, I did myself because I trusted myself there, and it gets really costly when other people do it. But it always depends. So I'd say it's a group effort. It's a site like that is basically a group effort, even though you don't see the people, you just see myself.
Yeah, I think Drazen's follow-up question you already answered a little bit. If some of the work could be, and you mentioned Fiverr and everything. So can you tell us a little bit of your experience with outsourcing some of this work in terms of because I do the same thing, and I do outsource several of the things that I'm doing. Actually, you mentioned about writing a book. I just wrote a book where a lot of the work for the book was outsourced, for example. So and for me, to find the right person, and you have to try out some things. And so what has been your experience in that?
I mean, the funny thing is with outsourcing, I guess it's the same with everything. Sometimes you have good experiences, sometimes you have bad experiences. And I guess it depends a bit on two things. So first of all, when you outsource programming, and if you're a programmer, you tend to, have like the right solution in mind, and you're always thinking in terms of solutions, so in like lines of code. But the funny thing is, you have to have a change of perspective. You're now a business owner. You have nothing to do with the code. And you tell someone, please make that dialog window pop up. And he does it whatever way he thinks the dialog window pops up. And it doesn't matter if you think it should be with that JavaScript library or something else. So there's a change of, perspective basically required. But then it also obviously depends a bit on the quality of the freelancer or the person doing the work. And I think Fiverr now, with their premium service, they have really good people. So they have people all over the world who do stuff, and most of the time I had great experiences. I also had experiences where I wasn't as satisfied, so I had to cancel the project. I had to do something twice or 3 times. Sometimes I lost my money because there was a dispute going on. Sometimes I didn't lose my money and I got it back. It depends a bit, but the whole outsourcing bit is basically, let's say, a whole learning experience by yourself. Because, as I said, get away with your coding, from your coding perspective or graphics perspective or whatever perspective you come from, and try to be a business owner. And I think that's a fine line you have to walk with these platforms.
Yeah, and personally, I think that this is the path for every developer, right? Because I think you're already a business owner from beginning, because you're a consultant, right? So you're already self. And I think, and for me, the thing that I believe for every developer, we all should be more business owners. I mean, we should be marketing ourselves a lot better than we do today, and that would open a lot of opportunities. And so Sebastian is asking about, you talk about consistency and entrepreneur spirit. And then he asked how long you've been doing this. I think you already said that, but so I'm going to complement his question with, not only how long you've been doing this, but how much of your consulting business that you had before helped you take this decision and to actually dive into creating a product and everything like this.
Absolutely. So the thing is, I've been doing it, I think the first videos, to be quite exact, the first test videos where I just had like 3 or 4 videos, the very first takes. It's been almost 2 years ago, actually, that I put them online. It's, I think, 1 year, whatever, 145 or 75. And then I built the website and tried to get the subscription model running. But all in all, over more than a year basically now. So I've been doing that. And consistency-wise, I'm trying to push out 2 to 3 episodes every week, which is a lot actually, even though it doesn't sound like it. But you have to, as I said at the beginning, you have to prepare and record and push it out and write emails and whatnot. And I think for most weeks, I actually managed to hit that goal, 2 to 3 episodes and guides and whatnot. Some weeks, or when I have vacation, obviously, I don't record anything. But that's pretty much the time frame from when I started. And again, Bruno, all right, the consultancy bit. I think it's a bit of a two-edged sword, because I don't know what it's like in your country, but in Germany, at least where I'm based, consulting pays a lot of money, a lot of good money. So in one way, it enables you to do something like that. So to spend the money on something worthwhile, like screencasting, hopefully. And at the other time, it's always, the question is, how much do you consult? How many clients do you have? What's your business schedule there? Would you rather do some screencasting, or would you rather go to your client and help them with a bug they have in their Java code base? And I guess there's a point in the middle where these 2 lines cross. And I might be at that point now where I'm thinking I can really scale down the consulting a lot and focus a lot more on the screencasting part. But it's not as easy as it sounds. You have the money, you have the opportunity, but you still have to push yourself to now go and do it.
Okay, very, very cool. So let me kind of, you're talking about putting 2 or 3 videos every week, and you said that your videos are, you do like a series of videos, right?
Yes.
And so when you're talking about doing 2 or 3 videos a week, is that like 1 video out of a series, or are you talking about like 2 series a week? How, just the detail of that?
Actually, if you gave me the superpowers to make 2 series or 3 series a week, whole complete series, which like 30, 40 episodes, I would like to have them. But no, at the moment, it's 2 or 3 single episodes out of 1 series. So I actually have, that's also a point I have to keep, because I have multiple open series where I'm recording stuff. I have to make sure that I don't lose track. I don't forget where I left off and have to get into the topic again. But I'm trying to switch things up and not just, hammer out 1 complete series and then the next series and the next series. I try to have 2 to 3 episodes every week on different series, and yeah.
Yeah, I was asking this more to understand, because when you prepare a presentation, like the 1 hour presentation, it's you have a lot of things that go on in this 1 hour presentation. But of course, when you do a video, your screencast, they have to be short, right? Because people kind of have like a short attention span. It's funny that people watch a lot when they're live here. So everyone's here. We have lots of people here live. But then when this video goes on the internet, a lot of people kind of just start watching and stop and things like this. So I understand that your screencaster, and actually that's a question, right? Are the screencasts like always very short, or you have like longer screencasts? And if you do, from what you're saying, I get that you don't like do a 1 hour screencast and then you chop up in lots of different pieces, right? You do one by one then.
Yes. So the thing is, again, that is something that changes with your experience. So at the beginning, I think my episodes were a bit shorter, so like 7 or 8 minutes, and now they're getting a bit longer, so 10 or 11 minutes. And the question is, how do I end up with 7 or 11 minutes? And I'd say it's somewhat a matter of testing things out. So when I do the recording, I just I do the live coding, and then after 7 minutes or 8 or 9 or 10 minutes, I try to make my point and wrap up the episode. And then I have my recording done, and then I need to do the intro and the outro of the episode and join these things together. But in general, I kind of I don't really watch the clock just myself, but I have now I have, after a while, after doing 100 episodes or 200 episodes, I have a pretty good feeling of when a point is being made. And that roughly takes between 7 and 12 minutes, something like that. But I haven't tried actually, recording like 2 hours and then trying to chop up these 2 hours, because I have to say that recording is actually, it is quite exhausting. So it's not like you just sit there and then just, record every day 2 and 3 hours and whatever. It actually is quite an effort to get a solid, consistent 10 or 15 minutes in. And if I'm a really, if I'm a happy guy, I might record 2 episodes, so a half hour of pure recording time. And but I haven't managed to record 3 episodes in a long while, so 2 has been my best for a given day.
Okay, very, very cool. So I mean, we're on the top of the hour now, and I don't see. So we have a couple of more minutes just to end things up here. So if you are watching us and you have any more questions, this is the right time to ask, because we're going to end here in a minute. But right before we finish this, I want you to take this moment to go and click on the offer on the side here, and go register for Marco's site. Right? You have a 7-day completely free. And it's an amazing way for you to go out and take a look and see how it's done, right? How he does the screencast, and kind of think that if that would be a cool thing for you to do too, right? For you to share your knowledge during screencast. So Marco, do you have any kind of last advice that you're going to give to people here?
I think whatever you do, it doesn't matter if it's screencasting, live presenting, or if it's anything. If you stand in front of a camera, I think the most important point for myself was trying to be myself. And I don't know if I come across as 100% authentic now in this webinar, but there's always, when you try to record something, when you try to do something, when you speak in front of an audience, you always want it to be perfect. And what I found is it makes things a lot simpler if you don't want it to be perfect. And if you can live with mistakes, and if you don't try to set the bar for yourself way too high. And especially when a camera comes in and you don't want to look stupid. But even then, it's very important just to be yourself and yeah, just be a happy guy, basically.
Yeah, that is a great advice, right? You know, when you are authentic, when you're yourself, that's when people see who you are, and that's when people kind of trust you, right? You know, this and I think you're completely authentic, right? You know, that's why I love to do those interviews with no slides, no, you know, we're just me and you here. It's a very good conversation, live with everyone, all the questions, right? So this is that is like a complete authentic discussion, and I love that you're doing this. So Marco, I don't see any more questions from everyone. So I'd like to thank you a lot for your time here with us, for sharing with us, and I'm sure that's going to inspire a lot of other people to do screencasting, and we can improve this, right? So thanks a lot, Marco.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome, and I have to thank you again for having me. And I hope that people got some information out of me. I really do.
Yeah, they're ready. You know, Sebastian saying, thanks, Marco. The last hours were extremely insightful. And I think he was too, right? You know, for me, it was, and I've interviewed a lot of people, and I love the spin that you brought to being an entrepreneur. And, you know, there's a lot of the speakers that we're talking about here. They are evangelists for companies, right? So they don't have a business model around. Some did, but, you know, I think you brought this in a very nice way, right? Silva says, yes, thank you very much. Very good insights. Drazen says, nice wrap up. Thank you. Uchenna says, thank you. So thanks a lot, Marco. It was amazing to have you here.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Last minute, click on Marco's website. Register, get the 7-day free trial, and, you know, and then stay with him, right? Okay. One. Uchenna say, inspired me. Thanks, Uchenna. You know, you guys are here with us. You inspired us to do this. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.